Hey guys, it's been a little while, but today I decided I wanted to talk about the what I call the Great Reset. But I know that's been co-opted by some internet conspiracy theory. But just a reset in general. And when I refer to that, which you'll hear me say it probably frequently, I'm talking about um, if we were able to basically reset our whole thinking of government and uh, and what it should be like. But also, I do understand that we probably, minus some sort of political revolution, it's most likely going to have to happen incrementally. So, and when possible, um, I will try to explain um, my ideas on what kind of steps we could take to achieve that. Um, but I just um, wanted to start with that. So today I am going to discuss what Congress should be, and um, so I want to start with the Senate. All right, so the Senate currently, there's two representatives from each state, which okay, I think that's a great idea. Ideally, like if we could start from scratch. I think that 100 senators is still a good number, but that um, our area should be um, divided geographically into 100 parts. Um, and I do believe that um, all of our territories should also be included. Um, but in the meantime, minus well, how can we get to that? Well, I think the first thing we need to do is um, no longer allow territories to just hang around and not become a state after they reach a certain point. Currently, I believe Wyoming is our least populous state with about a half a million people. So I think that's just a good threshold to start with. If you're a territory and you have more than a half million people, then you become a state. Um, that gives you two senators. You send them up there to Washington. It gets you um, a person, what do you call it, U.S. Congressperson, some kind of representation or more if you're in Puerto Rico. um, but I think that we need to acknowledge the fact that we do have these people in these territories and that they are definitely underrepresented, especially Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. But we should not forget our massive territories out in the Pacific. I think either the best idea would be to lump all of them together under one Pacific, you know, state, so to speak, or whatever, and give them two senators to split between all of them, or combine them into Hawaii. We already have a state out in the middle of the Pacific. Um, just combine all of our Pacific territories into the state of Hawaii. Um, so I after we do that, then I mean somewhere along the lines, I understand state sovereignty and all that, and that's great as long as that's actually gonna be a thing. But if um, the states, they got long histories. I get it and all that, but I mean it's some of them make sense, some of them don't really make sense, in my opinion. Like we got Rhode Island up there, Delaware, like those like and for that matter, Wyoming with a half million people. Like why should that should be northern Colorado. Uh, So, um, anyway, that's my opinion on that. But um, I believe ideally we would divide up all of our land by 100 and generate a computer program that would district out those 100 pieces in the most efficient manner, meaning that you'd add the perimeter of each of those together and achieve the lowest total perimeters, and that would give you the least gerrymandered districts. So, there's no reason we should be having corrupt politicians designing districts at all when we have the technical capability to generate an unbiased and completely efficient uh, district. So, um, and currently so now, I mean, obviously, we're moving into the House of Representatives. So, um, these districts, if we're going to stick to them, like I said, we have to computerize um, districting areas, based on their population. The average representative right now has 700,000 citizens in it um, under them. So we need to just write a program that splits it, into groups of 700,000 people in using the least amount of perimeter. So, Ohio has literally a duck-shaped congressional district. I mean, it looks like a duck. Go pull up a map of the congressional districts of Ohio. I think it's Jim Jordan's district. I don't know. I mean, dude, you got like a bill, and then the neck, and you come down. You got the body, and then you got a little like tail feather up here. I mean, it's insane. Like that should not be allowed. But it is, and I've seen on the news Florida has some pretty bad ones too. Um, so it's time to utilize the technology that we have available. Um, However, ideally, after this great reset, the so the Senate would represent a geographic area. All right, and they would be elected under a popular vote. So, you could end up with uh, somebody that is a senator that you don't agree with because you voted for somebody else. But that's just gonna be the nature of it. However, the people out in the middle of Wyoming are gonna have an area, and they're gonna have an area the size just like a city. Um, so that a city that has 1 million plus people is gonna have one senator, just like an area of however many square miles in Wyoming might have a population of 20,000 people, and they'll have a senator because ultimately they are representing the land, all right, and in the best interests of the area in that land, and not uh, necessarily the best interest of the people. Um, Now, uh, they would also um, perform as a more utilitarian, greater good for the greater number type thing. It would be a very populist, branch of the government, just which is how all of our government is currently. Um, the Senate would also, they would be the ones to bring forth bills. Um, the Senate can bring forth the bill, they vote on it. If it passes the Senate, then it's going to go down to the House of Representatives, which I do believe personally that if we have a great reset, that there shouldn't. I mean, there could be representatives, but they're not won by a popular vote. I think every citizen should have the capability and the right to vote on anything that the Senate has passed, and then it needs to um, get voted on by the people. And so, one of the big arguments is, we got lives, jobs, families, TV to watch, whatever. Sometimes you have more important things to you than to be reading, uh, congressional bills every day and then voting on them. So, you would be able to give your vote away to a representative. All right, so now that could be your sister or your uncle or whoever, or somebody that you trust to vote in your best interest. So let's just say you gave your sister your vote. Now, whenever she votes, her vote's going to count as two. All right, so now people can still might run for office or whatever, basically, wanting to get your vote, and that's literally getting your vote. So your right to vote on those issues, you know, you have given away to this person, and you can retract at any time. I mean, we have the technology to do this easily. Especially now this past year working at home, everybody, all the office people, office doesn't even exist anymore. They people are Zoom meeting and um, running into the office just for the bare minimum necessities, and everything is done telecommuting. So I mean, we can telecommute Congress. That's how they were doing it themselves. So anyway, um, anybody can vote on any bill, and you can give away your vote to a person at any time, and you can also take it back at any time. So if they are disagreeing with you on an issue and you're like, nope, you're not getting to vote on that issue for me, you can take your vote back from them and change your vote to whatever. So now, I mean, I did the math, and so an average U.S. representative represents 700,000 people. Now we have like a 60% voting rate, so that means that representative represents 420,000 voters. So they had to get at least 51% of the vote in most cases. So that is 214,200 votes that they got at minimum. And again, a maximum of 420,000, which would be if they if they got 100% of the vote. Just for reference, we have 330 million people, so you take the 214,000, divide it by 300 million, or 330 million, and you find out that that representative actually only got the votes from 0.07% of the population. So now, that's not that much. But I think that maybe, I mean, if you want to keep the institution there in Washington for whatever reason, then we just make like a threshold. Like if you represent, you have the votes of, I don't know, some percentage of our population. So let's see, 330 million. So 0.1% would be 300,000. So if we got what 0.1 or 0.2% of the population, you have their vote or more, then maybe you could have an office up there in Washington. Now, as far as your pay goes, that would be maybe, that if you if somebody's taking your vote, maybe you need to have a transaction fee, like it currently at this point in history, $1 to $5 would be more than enough. I mean, if you got 300,000 people want you to vote for them, that's $1 each. That's 300, thousand bucks. So, um, I mean, we can operate on a transaction fee that takes it out of the budget. I mean, obviously the senators are going to fall into the budget, and um, as they represent the geographic areas, and that's just going to be one of the few taxes that we just have to, it'll have to be there for bare minimum government. Um, so anyway, I think you get the idea. So the senators represent an area. They bring bills to the floor. They vote and kick it down to the common people to vote, to the citizenry, the representatives, the people, and then it can pass. Now, currently our representatives are split by state. I think that's the first step we should take is divorce um, the House of Representatives from the states. Right? And the House of Representatives should represent the people, and the states should have nothing to do with it. So, congressional districts, I believe, should and will probably cross state lines if you use the most efficient drawing methods. So, yeah, anyway, let me know what you think of that. And I think I'm working on how taxes should be, which is, um, obviously kind of an issue for a lot of people. So, anyway, till next time, take it easy.